Don't worry, there will be questions. The audience is trained.
Okay. Why don't you give me a reminder?
I'll give you a reminder.
Okay.
I'll squeak like a peacock. That will be our signal. That means 7:50.
As you like, Prabhu.
Jai, thank you.
Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadhamayam Dadati Swapatantikam Pancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Cha Patitanan Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Prabhu, for this opportunity to be with you all again. It's such a beautiful section of Srimad Bhagavatam. I'm so happy to have joined at this time. It's simultaneously very sweet and also transcendently sad. The moods of Vrindavan are very profound. This is what separates the personalists from the impersonalists. The personalists relish so many different spiritual emotions, whereas the monists try to negate emotion because of not having access, not having knowledge of the superiority, the beauty, the profundity of spiritual experience and therefore spiritual emotion. So as bhakti yogis, we actually have to convert our material emotions into spiritual emotions. We cannot live without emotions. We feel emotions all the time. But how to cultivate these divine spiritual emotions? It comes by hearing about them, hearing from those who have such moods, and praying humbly to one day receive some of that treasure chest of spiritual experience. So today we're covering a few verses and probably the most dramatic scene of maybe in Vedic literature of Srimad Bhagavatam. Acharya has come to take Krishna away from Vrindavan. So on the high level, these topics are very deep. All of these verses are saturated with the moods of the Brajvasis, and in this particular situation, imminent separation from Krishna. So we may read these verses and we intellectually understand them. But actually the great souls, when they read these verses, they're tasting and realizing all of these moods. So it's a very profound section, and we ask for the blessings of all the devotees to just try to do service to them. I believe I have text 16 through 21 as the verses for today. So we'll just go through each of them. And we'll start with text 16. Smarantyascha parashoder anuragasmiterita Hridi sprishas chitrapada Girasammu muhustriyam. Translation. And still other young women fainted simply by remembering the words of Lord Shori, Krishna. These words, decorated with wonderful phrases and expressed with affectionate smiles, would deeply touch the young girls' hearts. So, at first glance, if we're not so familiar with the theology of Srimad Bhagavatam, it seems, oh, this is cute, it's nice, they're remembering someone they love, and their hearts were touched. But we should never forget these verses are on the platform of the ecstatic dance of prema. They're manifesting from the arena of the dance of prema. So they have not ordinary experiences, and these verses are not describing something that we can even really conceive of in the conditioned state. But by studying Srimad Bhagavatam, understanding in the beginning the transcendental position of Krishna, that no, this is not just some exchange of romance. This is the zenith of all spiritual revelation and experience of the pure Atma coming in contact with the Vishaya, the object of complete absorption, complete dedication, complete surrender. When the soul becomes intoxicated with love for the supreme object of love, this divine obsession, it manifests certain behavior and character. So here, simply by remembering their exchanges with Krishna, with the Supreme Bhagavan in his most intimate form, they would be losing consciousness. Remembering his words, those words were very personal. Krishna would personally speak with each gopi. Something, a very special message only for them. And when they remember that love that Krishna gave them, they would lose themselves. These words decorated with wonderful phrases. So Krishna would speak. We know from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, there's 64 qualities of Krishna. He has all of the qualities in full, and he's a genius. He's clever. He's very sweet. So we have experience in this world of someone making jokes. We have the perhaps unfortunate phenomena of the man trying to impress the lady with some wordplay, telling some jokes, flattery. Where is this coming from? In the spiritual world, on the level of complete purity, Krishna charms the hearts of his devotees with this very eloquent wordplay. And it really requires some Sanskrit knowledge to appreciate this dynamic. But I'll share one passage Srila Prabhupada gives us in the Nectar of Devotion under the category of a genius, where Srila Prabhupada quotes a statement in Padyavali containing the following conversation between Krishna and Radha. One morning, Krishna came to Radha, and Radha asked him, "My dear Keshava, where is your vas at present?" So there's a direct meaning and indirect meanings. The Sanskrit word vas has three meanings. One meaning is residence, one meaning is fragrance, another meaning is dress. Actually, Radharani inquired from Krishna, "Where's your dress?" But Krishna took the meaning as residence, and he replied to Radharani, "My dear captivated one, at the present moment, my residence, my vas, is in your beautiful eyes." To this, Radharani replied, "My dear cunning boy, I did not ask you about your residence. I inquired about your dress, your vas." Krishna then took the meaning of vas as fragrance and said, "My dear fortunate one, I've just assumed this fragrance, this vas, in order to be associated with your body." Srimati Radharani again inquired from Krishna. And then he divides the word Yamin Yamusuti into two words, Yaminya and Mushita. By dividing it into two, it came out to mean that he was kidnapped by Yamni or night. Krishna therefore replied, "My dear Radharani, is it possible that night can kidnap me?" In this way, he was answering all of the questions of Radharani so cunningly that he gladdened this dearest of gopis. So, again, these are not ordinary material exchanges. These are the profundity of the summum bonum, supreme absolute truth, dancing in these games of love. So the gopis are remembering these jokes, the wonderful words of the Lord, and expressed with affectionate smiles. The smile of Krishna does not just go from ear to ear, but it goes into their heart. And they lose consciousness. This is text 17 and 18. Gatim sulalitam jeshtam snigdaha savaloganam shokapahani narmani rodama charitani cha chintayanto mukundasya pitavira hakarakatara sameta sangasha prochur ashumukyo chutashaya. The gopis were frightened at the prospect of even the briefest separation from Lord Mukunda. So now, as they remembered his graceful gait, his pastimes, his affectionate smiling glances, his heroic deeds, and his joking words, which would relieve their distress, they were beside themselves with anxiety at the thought of the great separation about to come. They gathered in groups and spoke to one another, their faces covered with tears, and their minds fully absorbed into Chuta. So just the previous class, you must have touched text 15, which very beautifully summarizes that the gopis, other gopis entirely stopped their sensory activities and became fixed in meditation on Krishna. They lost all awareness of the external world, just like those who attain the platform of self-realization. So the goal, as we know, really of yoga is this samadhi. So in bhakti yoga also, the goal is the platform of self-realization, the platform of spiritual trance. Samadhi is the highest level of concentrated meditation. And for bhakti yogis, it's the platform of pure loving devotion, where Krishna reveals himself. So here, just like those who, they're practitioners who very rigorously try to control the mind, fix it on one object, shut out the senses, enter the different increasing levels of absorption. But here the gopis, they're always in this state, actually. They're always in trance. They're always in samadhi, which is a natural, due to having been awakened through love, is very natural. So when love is there, it automatically generates that absorption. Even from this material world, we may know or have experienced when there's love, automatically the mind goes to the object of love. There's no force. No one has to come up to you and say, "Hey, think of your wife, or think of your boyfriend, or think of the person you're obsessed with right now." No, automatically it's going. So the gopis, they could not even tolerate a moment of separation. It was unbearable. Now Krishna's getting ready to leave Vrindavan. It's unimaginable for them. So they're remembering these different features, his walking pastimes, his heroic deeds. Everything in the material world that attracts us, we see has its origin in Krishna. So if we can transfer our fascination with the things of this world to the origin of everything, then we can also naturally awaken an attraction. His heroic deeds and joking words, which would relieve their distress. And now they'll begin to speak to each other. They take shelter of each other. This is a very beautiful concept of dependence on devotees. We depend on devotees in many ways. We need support. Sometimes we go through difficulty, or sometimes we just need to be led in the temple. Sometimes we just, we had a long day and we're wondering if someone can share a plate of prasadam. And the gopis take shelter of each other in a very profound way by speaking and sharing their love. They get solace. So devotees have to very much develop deep loving relationships with each other to feel that spiritual comfort in our life. And when we're not feeling that, when we're not feeling very happy in spiritual life, generally we can trace it to the association we have. Have we sought out, and do we have devotees who really we feel are nourishing us? And if not, then we can be praying for that. And we can be even crying for that, because it's so essential. The recommendation to seek out like-minded sadhu sangha, which is more advanced and compassionate. In that we will feel very protected, very inspired. So the association is the key here. It's being exemplified by the gopis. They're speaking together only about Krishna. Shri Gopya Uchuhu Aho Vidhatas Tavanakvachidaya Samyoja Maitra Pranayena Dehina Tams Chakritartan Vyunaksya Partakam Vikriditam Teir Bhakachastitam Yata. The Gopi said, "O Providence, you have no mercy. You bring embodied creatures together in friendship and love, and then senselessly separate them before they fulfill their desires. This whimsical play of yours is like a child's game." Very interesting phenomenon how the gopis are here chastising Providence. This conception of Providence in Braj is due to forgetting Krishna's divine position. The prema, their pure love, eclipses their knowledge of Krishna's godhood. So for them, Krishna is just their friend, their lover, their son. And therefore, the need to take grievance with Providence, who has unintelligently made such incomplete and erroneous plans, destiny. They're saying this is like a child's game. There's no purpose behind it. Having shown us Mukunda's face, framed by dark locks, and beautified by his fine cheeks, raised nose, and gentle smiles, which eradicate all misery, you are now making that face invisible. This behavior of yours is not at all good. It's asadhu, not good. We know when there's something auspicious, we hear sadhu, sadhu. But here, this is being explained as asadhu, not good, inauspicious. One time, sometimes Radharani says, one time I got the experience of Krishna. And since then, I cannot concentrate on anything else. Household duties. But so what a divine aspiration. And if Krishna's mercy comes to us, then one day, then this intense endeavor for sadhana, for trying to fix the mind on Krishna, it already happens automatically for such blessed, exalted devotees. Now, they're saying we've seen this exquisite face, and this is not physical, material beauty. This is spiritual love, incarnate. Mukunda's face, Krishna's face, which is the form of his exquisite nature and mercy, framed by dark locks, beautified by fine cheeks. The beauty of the Lord is exalted as his superlative quality, actually. The beauty of Krishna and Radharani is so out of this world that it just simply entrances their devotees. We should be aspiring to one day receive that prized and aspired for vision. Having seen, it's like if one sees the sun, they won't be able to see anything else after that. If one really, really takes the sun in, then they become blind. So if taking in this form of Krishna, this divine being in his highest feature, then one can't see anything else. They will only be wrapped in that remembrance for the rest of their life. Text 21. Kurastvam akura samakyayasmanas chakshur hidatam harase bhattagyavat yenaika deshe kilasarga shoshtavam tvadiyam adrakshamayam madhudvisa. O Providence, though you come here with the name Akrura, you are indeed cruel. For like a fool, you are taking away you're taking away what you once gave us. Those eyes with which we have seen, even in one feature of Lord Manudrisa's form, the perfection of your entire creation. So the Providence's perfection is in this, the Lord's form, according to them. And now you're taking this away. Purport, the gopis did not care to see anything but Krishna. Therefore, if Krishna left Vrindavan, their eyes would have no function. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu prays, in the mood of Radharani, what is the use of eyes that don't see the form of Krishna? What is the use of living? One does not have love of Godhead. So in this very elevated state, the Brajvasis are always in a very elevated state, but this elevated states, they're condemning. What is the use of our eyes if we can't see Krishna? Thus Krishna's departure was blinding these poor girls, and in their distress they berated Acharya, whose name means not cruel, as cruel indeed. So Acharya was deputed by Kamsa to take Krishna to Mathura. Even though his name's Acharya, which means not cruel, the gopis are saying, no, actually you are cruel. You are the most cruel. So these passages are at our stage here to inspire us, to invite us into the divine reality. Srimad Bhagavatam is it's really like transporting us to a more beautiful reality, a better place, a more sane place. In that place, the soul is naturally, spontaneously attracted to the pure object of love. This is natural. Here, we are in an unnatural state where, not experiencing that, we are looking anywhere and everywhere madly, like crazy people, like madmen and women, trying to find something substantial experience in this world, but being cheated over and over and over and over again. So this reminds the conditioned soul, no, the true object of your search, your pursuit in this world, is within your heart. Krishna doesn't leave the heart. He never leaves the side of the living entity, the jiva. Millions of lifetimes, millions and billions of species, Krishna is always there. So, asatoma sadgama, turning away from illusion, turning our face back to Krishna. The Upanishads teach how there's two birds seated in the heart. One is tasting the fruits of this tree of life, and the other is just the witness. So when that bird who is tasting these different experiences turns his attention, Bahir Mukh, instead of looking outside, he looks inside, then all his desires can be fulfilled. This is the goal. So Acharya is quite interesting because a pure devotee, he ended up, because of doing this, he so severely displeased the gopis, they actually cursed him. And Prabhupada explains in the Krishna book, in asking the question is raised, why did a great devotee like Acharya join this conspiracy regarding the Shamantaka jewel? Why did Kritavarma, although a devotee of the Lord, join the conspiracy also? The answer is given by great authorities like Jiva Goswami, is that although Acharya was a great devotee, he was cursed by the inhabitants of Vrindavan because of his taking Krishna away from their midst. Because of wounding their feelings, Acharya was forced to join the conspiracy declared by sinful men. So just see, although he's a devotee, he displeased other devotees. Although himself such an exalted associate of the Lord, in this pastime he offended other devotees by taking Krishna away from them. Therefore they cursed him. They took offense. They became displeased with him. So this is teaching us again how careful one has to be to not disturb other devotees. Even a associate of the Lord suffered had a terrible, fiasco. So for ourselves, what can we learn from this? Trinadapi sunichena to remain in contact with Krishna, we just have to adopt this process. Humble than the blade of grass, tolerant than the tree, giving all respect to others. That's not so easy. Especially when we have some position, then we have a tendency to put our view in front of everyone else's. Everyone should accept our version of the truth, even though we're very often wrong. So, yes, extreme caution should always be executed in dealing with devotees. Never trying to, never incidentally just offending them or displeasing them, even subtly. But the more advanced the devotee, the greater the risk. And sometimes being blinded by ego or pride or ignorance. If the most unfortunate event happens where we can offend the pure devotee, then the bhakti becomes uprooted. The hati mata offense is always warned by Srila Prabhupada. So for this, we're always on guard. And with like-minded devotees, that's for the Uttamamadhikari, for the Madhyamas also. We should be aware how much their displeasure will negatively, adversely affect our spiritual life. It's very subtle. But try to always remain in the well wishes of the senior devotees, especially those who are guiding us. Krishna is very firm about this. And from the West, not having a proper cultural educational background, we don't know how this works. We tend to make offense and get angry and not very cultured. But spiritual Vaishnava culture very much will reflect always trying to remain in the good graces of our association, our associates, our seniors, our guides, and especially our gurus. And their blessings are essential to progress in bhakti and to develop some level of attraction, appreciation for these topics, and eventually, hopefully, some intense desire to also come to the stage of our inherent natural position as a lover and devotee of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. I didn't hear the peacock, but I'm just gonna stop here. Is there a peacock there? Okay.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Fantastic class. Super sublime subject matter. I can remember first coming into the Bhagavatam class and hearing the devotees speaking, and I couldn't understand what they were talking about. The simplest things that they were trying to explain. But I could see this person seemed to know what he's talking about. And everybody else seems to be understanding it. So they must know something, And it's Prabhupada said it's like if you were trying to describe color to a blind person. They have no experience of vision. They don't know yellow, blue, green, right? And you're trying to tell them about color. And so for us, there's beyond this world that we see, there's another dimension of existence, another quality of life that we have not experienced or even suspected that it's there, right? And then somebody's talking about it. But the point is, the real point of the Bhagavatam class is that Krishna is so wonderful. We're here to glorify Krishna. Krishna is so wonderful that even though we don't understand it, he's providing access. And it says, Bhakti Mama Vanjanati, only by devotional service can I be understood. So when we are reaching out to somebody who's completely blind and trying to describe color, when we're telling somebody about this exquisite, pure love, when they've been living for millions of years in a world where there is no real love, right? It's a little challenging, but Krishna is so wonderful that he tells us, just give them some service. Just give them prasadam. And by engaging in devotional service, the eyes are opened, right? There's that story, I think it's Jambavan who was fighting with Krishna about the Shamitaka jewel. You know that story?
Yeah.
Right? He's fighting with Krishna because he thought Krishna was taking the jewel from his daughter. But Krishna was so pleased by the fighting that in the course of the fighting, he said, oh my God, he was pleasing Krishna by fighting with him. And then he began to recognize Krishna as Krishna. So the miracle of devotional service is that we begin to actually not just hear about something that's beyond our capacity to understand, but we actually begin to see Krishna and believe that there is Krishna. And our love for Krishna is awakened.
Jai.
We have a few minutes. There was one experience Krishna gave me. We were in Buffalo, New York, with Lokavanatam, and his father's a doctor. So we were staying at Dr. Bernstein's house. Loka and what?
Dentist.
Yeah, and his sister was there. And his sister had just graduated from a Ivy League school, Cornell University, 4.0 index, all A's for 4 years, magna cum laude, right? And his father was saying to us, Hare Krishna, why don't you get a real job? Why don't you guys get a job? And Loka said, well, Dad, we have a job. We're producing religious literature, and it's explained it. And the books and his sister was there at the table, and she said, and that's another thing, these books. This is a very intelligent girl, college graduate, going to graduate school. And she said, I think when you open up one of these books, there's a drug on the ink and it goes in your nose. And then when you read it, you can't. And then she opened up the book and it said, Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. He has all the wonderful qualities, the most strong, the most beautiful, the most powerful, the most intelligent, the most famous. See that? It doesn't make any sense. And we go, oh my God. She couldn't understand it. So we can't understand Krishna just by reading the book, even though the book is magical and purifying. But if you give somebody a little devotional service, this is the medicine. Just like when somebody has jaundice, if you give them something sweet, it tastes bitter. But the cure for jaundice is the sugarcane juice. And so Krishna is so wonderful that he gives us access. He gives us a process of purification. So even if we can't understand it first, our eyes are opened. I'm talking too much. We'll go to show, but your class is
Beautiful.
fantastic.
No, it's beautiful, bro. And I just appreciate it on all levels, beginning, continuing our service, and then increasing our service, taking more responsibility, continues to open the door more and more. Thank you for this very important point.
Well, glory to Prabhupada. Maybe somebody else has something to share. I talk too much. Ima?
As the Acharya Nistha Prabhu was speaking, I literally sensed how something was going up my nose. Krishna Bhakti, I guess, or nectar of hearing about Krishna. It's just so refreshing, so relieving. I was doing things, but my heart, my attention was going to Krishna. And that felt really good. Thank you, Acharya Nistha Prabhu.
It goes in the ear, not in the nose.
Yeah. Okay.
Haribol, thank you.
Krishna William Prabhu, you had what's that military French you're wearing? Are you Krishna's soldier?
Prabhuji, thank you, sir, for such a wonderful class. I just wanted to reflect on one thing. This is just my way of saying, you know what? I got a warfare up here every day. The warfare is right up here. I just wanted to reflect on one thing, that in the Bible it says something about how important association is among followers. The Holy Bible says the association is so important. We can encourage you. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Nanda Bihari has his speakerphone on, so there's an echo.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
I
No.
just reflect. I thank you so much for sharing and for speaking about how important it is for us to have the association of devotees, because that's where Krishna is. That's the heart. You know, the Holy Bible says something about that as well in Hebrews chapter 10. Let's encourage one another to incite to love and fine works.
Mm.
Hare
Can't do
Krishna.
it alone. Thank you.
Well, you were saying it goes in through the ear, right? Can you hear me? Actually, it goes in through the ear, through the eyes, through the nose. We can smell the fragrance of the flowers offered to Krishna, and that there's purification. We can take prasadam, which is food cooked with love and offered to Krishna, and through the mouth, the sense of taste, our intelligence is purified, the heart is purified. Through the ear, we hear the holy name, we hear the wisdom. Through the intelligence, through the eyes, we see the form of the Lord. There was one lady at New Vrindavan, she went in the gift shop, and she was just a hillbilly lady, and she saw the deity of Krishna there in the gift shop, and she said, "I just love that boy." And I said to her, "That's Krishna." She said, "I just love Krishna." But she saw the form of the Lord, and it was purifying to her heart. Because when there's hatred, when there's envy, when there's greed, when there's lust, these disease symptoms are there. And how do you counteract that? You know, if you can build a wall, you can start a war, but unless you get to the heart, the hatred will still be there. And the only way to remove hatred, which is just a symptom of we turned away from Krishna, is to re-attract to the beautiful love that Krishna has for us. And sometimes they say, you see the mountains, you see the lake, you see the forest, you see the sky and the clouds and the ocean, and the creation draws our attraction to the majesty and the intelligence and the beauty and the love that the Creator has for us, providing all the vegetables and the sunshine and everything. So the creation brings us to, like, what's the name? St. Francis, right? He was praising the sun and the moon and the stars and the clear water. And he said, these things are the things that help me to understand how good is the Lord. And he became a great saint. So it goes into all the senses.
Bhakti goes in all the holes.
I like the one where it says you should touch the bodies of the devotees. You know, if you've ever felt a loving touch, a little massage in the neck or something from your god brother.
I like it. I like it. That's my favorite interaction with the devotees. When they touch me and I touch them. Appropriately.
You can tell whether somebody's touching you in a lusty way or just a.
Yeah, I wanna pull Bhima by his ear, by his no, not by ear, by his beard. Is that okay, Bhima Prabhu? Will that facilitate your bhakti?
I give you permission to try, Prabhu. But you can't be attached to the results.
Yeah. Thank you. Venetia has her hand up. Bhima Prabhu, you're a gentleman. We're gonna let Venetia speak, or Bhakta Whiskey. I don't know.
Yes. Hi, Hare Krishna. Good morning. And
Oh.
if we're Is the darshan happening? Maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
darshan.
I'll hold my question. Thank you.
Afterglow. Yeah, we'll stay for afterglow. Thank you, Acharya. It's
Haribol.
darshan time, everybody. Please turn on your cameras if you can. This is the Kurukshetra moment. We just heard the conch shell. Thank you so much, Vinisha, Amrita Kishore, Hemangi, William, Krishna Soldier, Bruce, Almighty. Bhima Prabhu, bring back your darshan. Bring back your beard.
Come close. Don't be shy. Yeah.
No.
No, it's good.
Can you see the curtain?
Yes, Prabhu. Jai, Shri Shri Radha Muladhar, Shri Gaur Chandra Ki Jai, Shri Vinisha Devi Ki Jai. Vinisha, let's do it. Welcome to the Afterglow. Is the speaker still here? Acharya, are you here? Okay, who's the most senior devotee on this call? William Prabhu has
Maybe
uniform. Is that
I could ask you this question actually.
okay? All right.
I think you'll be able to answer it.
Okay.
I was going to thank the speaker, obviously, and I feel like this subject matter of, I mean, anytime the gopis are on the scene, I just feel overwhelmed and unqualified and in awe. I think, this concept of love and in separation is so powerful, but it's also like it's so painful. And I understand I'm not thinking about it in my own experience in the mundane world, but even transcendentally, just the tearing away that's happening in the scene is so heart-wrenching that I wanted to focus on just something more practical that I think that you can help answer, although I was interested in the speaker's point of view too. But I really appreciated how he underscored not giving offenses to devotees and how important that is, and really how detrimental that is. And, we have the analogy of sort of the root of our bhakti being ripped up. And if you've ever taken time to grow a plant, if it's ripped up, it's like everything is gone, right? You have to start all over again, new seed even. So I was wondering, and you read all these lists of offenses to devotees, and sometimes the lists become a little numbing because they're very long. But just practically, I wanted to know in his experience, but in your experience, Nandabari, what do you think are what are the offenses that we practically might be making and might not even be aware of it, especially to senior devotees, but really to everybody? What offenses do you try in particular to avoid to other devotees, just on a practical level, like day to day? You know what I mean? Try to help us out practically here, because that's my greatest fear, is that I'm doing it without even knowing it, because I am such a neophyte. But it's also so important, and for you and for anyone on the call, really. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Venetia. Wonderful question. For me, it's first of all, offenses to devotees. An offense is when we try to purposefully put someone down. That's an offense. Everything else is kind of foolishness, anartha, omission. It's not really offense. Offenses are when we try purposefully, publicly, or out of false ego, try to put someone down, shame them. So those are
That's
offenses.
clear.
So for me, I don't necessarily do that often, but etiquette is my issue. So there's a pamphlet of Vaishnava etiquette. You're not supposed to put nails in front of the deities. You're not supposed to do other things,
Right,
to devotees, and the Matajis, Prabhujinis, all that type of things. But I don't think anyone on this call has this offensive attitude of trying to put someone down purposefully.
that's helpful. That's clear. That's a very bright line. Thank you.
That's
Hare
Radhanath
Krishna.
Swami Maharaj. That's from him. That's his line. When we try to put someone down, a devotee down, that's an offense.
Yeah. That
We
makes sense.
and Vaishnavas, we're supposed to be lifting everybody up, lift them up, fan their spark.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we offend ourselves by writing ourselves off, by thinking, "Oh, I'm a lost case.
Putting
I'm
ourselves down, right?
so fallen. I'm not gonna show my face to the devotees. I'm not gonna go to the temple. I'm too far gone. I'm effed up beyond repair," as Bhima Prabhu has famously said in Bhagavatam class. So that's also an offense towards ourselves. Right? So wherever
Perfect.
you are, show up, do your best. You're good.
Thank you so much, Hare Krishna. Great answer.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to share anything on this Monday morning before we go and practice what we just learned in class from Acharya Nistha? He's so happy in Krishna consciousness. I can tell he's enjoying the process and the philosophy. No? Okay. Thank you very much for your association, dear devotees. Thank you. We treasure it, we value it. We look forward to getting more of it. We're wishing you a wonderful and fulfilling Monday. Give it to Krishna. Fight for Krishna. Thank you, Kartik says. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, dear devotees. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Nice seeing everybody. Bye-bye.